Tonight, two U.S. swimmers pulled from a plane and detained, facing questions after Ryan Lochte and his teammates said they were robbed at gunpoint. ABC's Matt Gutman is in Rio and has the latest. Good morning, Matt.
Hey, good morning, Robin. Those swimmers looking stunned as they left the airport police station overnight. And we're told they're going to be questioned again by police about what happened the night they were partying with Ryan Lochte. And the stakes here only getting higher. Brazilian police saying that they're keeping the door open to prosecuting all four men for providing false testimony. This morning, the two Olympians who were with Ryan Lochte when they say they were robbed at gunpoint were supposed to be bound for the U.S. Instead, the swimmers having to wade through a sea of reporters here at Rio's airport.
Were you guys robbed? Tell us, were you robbed? Was there a robbery? Was it just a good time?
That's the question Brazilian police are investigating. Suspicion growing that the 12-time Olympic medalist Ryan Lochte and a fourth swimmer, Jimmy Fagan, lied to authorities about the night they were allegedly mugged by men dressed as police officers.
And then the guy pulled out his gun, he cocked it, put it to my forehead, and he said, "Get down," and I was like, I put my hands up, I was like, whatever.
The swimmers yanked off the plane overnight. Jack Conger and Gunnar Benz had already cleared customs at the airport. Thinking they were homeward bound, Benz even posting this Snapchat video of Conger as they made their way to the plane. The swimmers questioned by Brazilian authorities before being released. Their new Brazilian attorney saying there was confusion and they were shaken. On Wednesday, a Brazilian judge issued a warrant to search the four men's rooms at the Olympic Village and ordering the passports of Lochte and James Fagan confiscated on suspicion of providing false sworn statements to police. But ABC News has learned Lochte is already back on U.S. soil, believed to have returned to his Charlotte, North Carolina home, while Fagan remains here in Brazil. ABC News has learned he is cooperating with police. The U.S. State Department addressing the issue.
We encourage all parties to work with Brazilian law enforcement in their investigation of the incident.
Would you want Ryan Lochte to go back to Rio?
Ultimately, that's all for an American citizen. We would never obviously require any American citizen to comply with those kinds of requests.
According to the ruling, the judge also questioning the timeline given by the supposed victims. Now, Brazilian police telling us the men were so drunk when they gave their initial testimony, they couldn't provide an accurate description of their assailants or even how many there were, and Ryan Lochte overnight raising suspicion again by changing his story. At first, telling Olympic officials it didn't happen, then coming up with a gun being cocked at his head. Now he's saying the gun was simply being waved in their general direction. Robin.
All right, Matt, we're going to bring in ABC News chief legal analyst Dan Abrams to help weigh in on what Matt was just saying there. But first of all, what do you make of the judge's orders about the athletes staying there and pulling two off the plane?
Well, let's be clear. This is a political investigation, right? I mean, if this were just some ordinary person who'd made a police report and they weren't sure if it was true, they wouldn't be pulling potential witnesses off of a plane. So this is a very important case in Brazil. This was a huge embarrassment to them. And so for them, it's a really big deal whether this is true. So what the judge is doing is basically saying it's a crime in Brazil to file a false police report. We want to investigate that. The question for me, though, is it seems that it's Lochte and Fagan who actually spoke to the police, but the other two who were just pulled off the plane, I think they want to question them. So here in the United States, you couldn't literally pull someone off of a plane, take their passports away to be a potential witness in a case if the crime you're talking about is the possibility of filing a false police report.
With Lochte now back here in the U.S., from a legal standpoint, is he in the clear?
Yeah, I mean, look, the Brazilian authorities could say we want him to come back. I don't think there's any way that the U.S. would extradite him over this sort of potential crime. I think, according to his lawyer, he's going to continue to help and assist in the investigation, and he says that he's going to be willing to continue to answer questions.
Do you think any of the other swimmers could face charges?
Well, look, there's the Fagan's the one I think who's the biggest concern, is because it appears he spoke to the authorities. He is still in Brazil, and they're really upset about this. But look, we got to take a step back and make sure that, this did or didn't happen. That's the first question. Let's not presume that they're not telling the truth. And that, I think, is going to be the most important question. And there are going to be a lot of diplomatic discussions about this in addition to legal ones.
Still needs a lot of answers to this.
That's right.
All right, Dan, thank you.